In a world full of movie podcasts, here is one more. Welcome to Defend Your Movie with Sean Donnelly.
The time has come again. The champion must end. It can only be one of us. Victoria! So stand up and fight, my friend. There's a title you must defend. Shut it on and on. Bring it to me. Defend your movie.
You have it for the thing? All right, yeah. The whatchamacallit? No.
Wait, so what did he say?
He said you haven't been on TV yet. You don't have a bunch of jokes about being named Tom Brady or any like dumb shit like that. So just change it. He was like, "There's no reason not to change it," and I'm glad I did because also Jeff Singer told me that the Booker of Montreal. He was like, when your name was Tom Brady, I wanted to hate you. Like when I'd see that name on paper, I was like, "Fuck this guy." And then he,
that's also very silly of Jeff Singer.
Then he threw his head at me like a boomerang.
Like he was, what's his name in Mortal Kombat 2?
Raiden?
Not Raiden. I forget the guy's name. He takes his hat off and chucks it. That's his weapon.
Yeah.
Or Odd Job and Bond. Yeah, he threw his fedora at me.
Yeah.
The cool thing is it's really like stuck in my mind. Like it's totally changed to me. I rarely like when I hear someone say Tom Brady now, I'm like confused.
All right,
That's good.
Let's start the episode. You're listening to Defend Your Movie.
Yes.
We have a very special, different kind of episode this week.
I've been like trying to add sound effects to the fans of this podcast. Tweet us if you like them. You haven't even noticed I've been putting little like musical.
Oh, that's
background.
right. You'll be like special episode. Like you'll say.
The Tommy and Tom.
So this week we're gonna do something
Special
different. It's gonna be
edition.
a crossover episode with us and the very great podcast called Stand By Your Band, correct?
Yes.
And our guest this week, our guests, I should say, we have two guests, two for the price of one. We have Tom and Tommy. Those are the guys who run Stand By Your Band. It's Tommy McNamara, and it's how do I pronounce your last name? Now it's Tom Takar.
Takar.
Takar. Mm-hmm. So, but it's spelled TH.
Right. Yeah. I got double silent H's because Thomas is.
Oh, that's way too confusing. What kind of name is that? What kind of name is it?
It's Indian.
It is Indian.
Yeah.
And
Indian.
You know what's so funny is like when I met you a couple of times, your name is Brady. Mm-hmm. I thought you were a white dude, and now you say Takar, and I'm like, I see how you're Indian.
I've heard a couple of people say that.
Market,
so funny.
market, baby, minority.
You should.
And what's weird is I just made it up so that I can say the movie card.
This counts as diversity for our podcast.
I am dying to play the diversity card. If you haven't noticed my curly hair the past few months, I'm going to change my name.
Well, you can go...
Farah, I'm going to make people start calling me.
The Middle Eastern Farah.
Yeah.
But you're not. You're what? You're Long Island.
I'm Long Island trash.
You should just go full Moana. Just go by Moana, bro.
Let's go by Moana.
Everyone will love it.
I worry that people like get offended. First of all, I just want to make it clear, when you say I am Moana, I'm not saying I, personally, Farah, am Moana, because it's a little offensive. She is of a different background, and that's unique for her. But it is a key theme.
You're kidding.
Well, for me to be like, I'm Moana, whatever. But a key theme in the movie Moana is her saying, I am Moana. That's a phrase of the film.
Right. So you're quoting the movie.
I am Moana.
Right.
It's
not like
I
when
want to hear that.
It's not like when Tommy McNamara said, "I am Martin Luther King."
It's nothing like that.
It was for a sketch. It was playing a character. It was blackface once. No, but let's get, we're getting a little bit out of hand with this stuff, I think. And not that I'm saying, you literally just said, I don't want to be, it's a little bit offensive to say I am Moana.
Some people have voiced that to me.
So a little 4-year-old goes and sees Moana and hears that line and goes down and goes, I am Moana, but she's German. Is she being racist?
Well, that's what I'm saying is that it's fine because it's a phrase of the film. It's not just saying.
Right, exactly. I just think it gets a little bit out of hand. People
I
have
agree.
to, like,
This
chill out a
PC
little
culture,
bit.
I mean, you're not going to hear it here today, folks.
Hey, we're very PC on this podcast, except
Not
for
me.
You're like Dice Clay.
Everybody
You're
says
the Andrew
that.
Dice Clay of this podcast. That's right.
Everybody says that.
You're the Colin Kane of this podcast. Do people know who Colin Kane is?
Not me,
Not
obviously.
Colin Kane, or who else is there that's like pushes the envelope? Are you the Louis
I mean,
J.
a lot of
Gomez?
people say I'm like the Louis C.K. of comedy, but, you know.
Nobody
it's
has
up to
said
whatever.
that. Moana says that. He's the only person that says it. So anyway, thank you guys so much for doing this. I think this is a great idea. We're going to do, right after we're done with this, we're going to tape an episode of your podcast where we're going to defend a band together, me and Farrah. You picked... Dude, I'll tell you, like, I, on this podcast, we've had some doozies, but I never saw this movie. I never watched it, and I always kind of wanted to. You know why? This is why this movie was especially offensive. I love time travel stuff. I love it. I love it. I love it. I even watched that, what was that one called with that, the 21st, not 21st century, damn it, what was it called? When the kids, they invent that camera that makes them time travel. It was so bad. Oh, something Project, the X Project or something like that. I forget what it was called. And it was so bad, but I was still like, but it's time travel. The movie that you guys are defending this week, it's a biggie. What year was it from? Do you know what year it's from? Is it from 90-something?
very mid-
2004.
2004.
That's right.
It's the 2004 Ashton Kutcher vehicle, Butterfly Effect.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think if people, this is the kind of movie people now, then they listen to the podcast, they're going to go, Butterfly Effect? Oh, yeah. Like they'll remember seeing the commercial once, maybe. I don't think it did well. It has 33% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is how we
2.5
like
out
it.
of 4 from Roger Ebert. That's not bad. I mean, that could be worse.
What is it, 3.5 out of 4?
2.5 out of 4.
This was after the surgery, though. He didn't know what was going on.
That's when he had this old floppity face.
Out of Google users,
Not
it
to be a
says
jerk, but-
88% of Google users liked this movie.
And wow.
And I just have to
95% of Bing users liked it.
I just have to say, I haven't seen it in a while. But personally, I was excited when I heard you were doing it, and I'm excited to catch up on it because this was one of my favorite films when I was a kid.
Oh, was
I
it
thought
really?
this was incredible.
So
I've done so many drugs, I can't remember really anything it's about, and I did watch the trailer, and I look forward to being rebriefed.
okay.
But I remember fucking loving this movie, thinking it was the coolest thing, thinking it was like deep as fuck.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was just very into it.
I'm gonna have to shit on it. I'm gonna have to go against all three of you on this shitty, horribly acted. This is the only thing. This is how this movie was pitched. The guy walked in and he goes to the writer's room and he goes, "Give me a movie that's a time travel movie, but it's not time travel." Like that's what he did. He came in and he goes, give me an emo piece of shit movie that's
my
time
God.
travel.
With
This was
like
this
a
movie. He said,
beautiful, stunning Ashton Kutcher.
So, you know what Back to the Future was missing? Child pornography 8 minutes in. That's what that movie needed.
They kind of did have like a mom like kind of trying to bang a son.
Yeah, they had
That's
incest.
an element of every.
So catch me up on it. Remind me.
For
that's
Butterfly?
how we usually do it.
Give a very brief synopsis of what happens in the Butterfly
And
Effect,
also
what
it's for the listeners as well. So
Yeah.
I want to. Well, you could probably you were the one who first I think suggested the movie.
Yeah,
So
me and Tommy were both when I pitched Butterfly Effect. We both kind of were very excited.
Well,
about
we
the idea of
wanted to do a movie where Ashton Kutcher said the N-word, and this was the only one we could find.
He does.
yeah, he does.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's right, dude.
Right.
Oh
He says the N-word,
yeah,
he
it's
says-
right. This movie is bonkers from the beginning. Now what you have to do is as concisely as you can.
Wow.
Please, because she's seen it and she loved it. That's how I know it's a shitty movie. You said it was
fuck.
one of your favorite
I don't know.
movies.
Now with an adult perspective, I
Yeah.
might feel different.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear concisely as you can.
I just
Can you tell
remember
the plot?
enjoying it as a horny teen.
Sure. I think that, okay, let's just run the synopsis of it. So there's a boy. It starts with a boy who's having blackouts all the time, and they always kind of happen during what seem to be traumatic events. So, and he's grows up with this like trashy group of people for whatever reason who are always violent. So then his mom decides to take him out of the situation. He grows up, lives a normal life.
They're also the group of friends is like incredible. Like they're like felons. Like
Yeah.
it's not even.
They're
horrific.
Yeah.
Like it's this girl and her brother, and the girl's fine, and this
Yeah.
fat kid who's like he's fine, but he's a little bit messed up in the head.
Weird.
And then it's her brother who is literally a sociopath.
He's the scariest character in all of time, I think.
Yeah, he's like if the toady bully from the Christmas Story.
Yeah.
If he went and did like meth and just
He's
went
like-
crazy.
yeah, and also you're like, how is he beating the shit out of people like 8 times his size all the time?
Yeah, he's like a sociopath, and he's like Jason Bourne. It's insane.
Like
the fight scenes are like Matrix-style fight scenes. This kid is a psychopath. Okay, keep telling
Is this the kid of Ash?
No, it's
No.
This
The
is
other kid, the
part of
blonde
his
kid.
crew.
Okay.
Tommy.
Tommy.
That's why I
That's
like
very fitting. That's why you guys like it.
Typical badass name.
You live vicariously through this kid.
Tell the leather jacket 8-year-old just beating the shit out of people.
The military should have hired that kid.
They should have Jason Bourne.
Oh my god.
So this kid is a real piece of shit. That kid. So basically, Ashton Kutcher is connected to these 3 people and his mom. The 2 kids are brother and sister, and their dad's a pedophile, and he like
Who's
does
Eric
weird stuff.
Stoltz?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Eric, and if you're my age, you guys are younger than me. Eric Stoltz is first off, he was Rocky Dennis in Mask, so you you loved him because you felt so bad for him. You ever seen not Mask with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
With Somebody Stop Me.
Yeah,
not that Mask.
This guy was smoking too.
So Eric Stoltz was like a big in the 80s. Like he was like a big. He was going to be part of the Brat Pack, but then he like missed out on a role in one of those Brat Pack movies, like from the 80s. And he was the boyfriend in not 16 Candles, in Some Kind of Wonderful, which is like a big deal to me. It was him and Mary Stuart Masterson, and that's a big movie for people my age. So to watch him as a pedophile is like ruining my childhood.
Yeah.
I felt molested watching him be a pedophile in this movie.
I didn't even know there was a
And-
pedophile in this movie.
Oh, what?
Did you watch? What did you just?
It's a major part.
Honestly, like it's
a-
as if I didn't watch, which is usually how we do the podcast.
Yeah,
I mean, so
it is. But you said it was one of your favorite movies as a kid.
Well, one of my favorite might have been a stretch. I remember loving it, thinking it was badass.
Yeah.
and definitely seeing it more than once.
Okay, so we'll get back to the synopsis.
So,
Sorry.
the synopsis. There's like 4 or 5. There's like I'd say 5 very traumatic events. One is they blow up a baby. One is they're in a child pornography together.
You see all this in the movie?
Yeah,
you
you see it in pieces.
You
Is
see it
there
in
a
pieces.
pool in this movie?
I don't remember
Pool?
a pool.
All right, I think I'm
I
mixing
think
it
you're
up
thinking
with
of the wrong movie.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking.
of Caddyshack.
That's one of the things he keeps blacking out.
He drops a
Someone
baby root to
swimming.
the pool and blacks out.
He blacks out the entire film.
So you see all these kids do
So what happens is something starts to happen bad, and then it goes to the aftermath because he blacks it out, and you're kind of seeing it through his eyes.
Okay.
So then something really bad happens where they take away his dog gets murdered by Tommy.
Set on fire.
Yeah, set on fire.
Which is also a big thing for me. Like dogs in
That
pain
is-
in movies, and dying in movies.
yeah,
are, like, messed
bang
up.
all the kids you want.
Yeah. Fuck those kids, but don't touch that dog.
Yeah,
It didn't do
burning-
anything to anybody.
That's probably the most traumatic scene. That and the baby, but
Yes.
This sounds truly terrible. I have to
very,
say, it's
very
not
heavy.
winning me over.
Well, it's all the first 15 minutes, too. You're just like, oh, I'll start a new movie? Oh, my God. The
Jesus
dog's on fire.
Christ.
What's weird is, like, as a kid, I was like, yeah, this is normal. This is a normal movie. And as you're older, you're like, what the fuck was I watching?
Yeah, where'd you grow up?
Yeah.
Well, also, his dad tries to kill him, which is big.
Yes.
Because his dad was an insane person. He was in an insane asylum because he thought he could change the past.
Oh,
As schizophrenic.
foreshadowing.
So he goes to visit his dad, and then his dad tries to choke him out.
Yeah.
But they have
cuts to that.
one of the blackout happens. So he wakes up to his dad choking him, and they pull him off. And
Yeah.
then you find out why later on.
And his dad gets
Sure.
killed in front of him.
Yeah, they literally
they
club.
beat him in the head in front of him.
There's a lot of head wounds in this
Jesus
movie.
A lot of
Jesus
head bashing.
Christ.
A lot
Yeah.
of people getting hit in the head and then passing out, and then a pool of blood going around their head. There seems to be a theme in this movie.
Pool. That's the pool
Oh,
she was
no.
That's the pool. The pool of blood.
I'm not feeling this. So that's just the first 15 minutes.
So this is all the
Pretty
very
much.
beginning. This is all the setup. So then he moves away as a teen, and he is holding a sign in the window as his mom drives him away that says, "I'll come back for you," to the little girl who he has a thing for or whatever. So then cut to college.
Because his mom is like, we're moving, we're getting out of here. Like, this is too much.
Sounds
After the dog
very
burns,
reasonable.
Yeah.
These kids are burning our dog to death. Probably let's go.
Yeah.
We have the money to up and move somehow, even though we're trash. I don't understand. But so they leave. And all of a sudden he's living a nice life. And
He's in college.
He's in college, and he's kind of a weird guy, but he's like cool. He's like a genius. All the teachers like him. He's roommates with that the bully from Boy Meets World.
Ethan Suplee.
Yeah, who's also like a banging hot people all the time.
Yeah, he's like a goth kid, but he's got a great personality, so all these hot chicks just fuck him. It's so weird.
So then he brings this girl back who happens to find the journals that have been under his bed the whole time.
Now, this is Ashton Kutcher,
This is
right?
Ashton Kutcher.
Okay.
And he starts looking at his journals that have been there. He doesn't have that much shit.
Yeah. Also, it's like, you brought them to college. Why did you do that? Nobody does that. Like, you kind of bare necessities for college. It's like, all right, shampoo, a deodorant, and 400 journals.
No pictures.
No pictures. Just me writing from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Every day. Also, it was supposed to be every day that he wrote in his journal.
Right.
So he must have had so many journals there at college. So she, they're hooking up, and she starts reading.
Yeah.
She asks him, she goes, read me some. It's like, he's a journal, not his poetry.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
that's ridiculous.
So he starts reading the most fucked up things, and then the dog died. It was the most hardcore thing that happened to him.
He doesn't flip the page. He doesn't go, oh, this is the dog burning one. Maybe he does. I think we should go to Christmas.
And then he starts reading and continues reading.
No, Thumper, no. You want to bang? Or?
oh my god.
So that's when he realizes, holy shit, I have all this.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like you're supposed to assume he put all this stuff out of his head from when he was a kid, all these bad memories.
Yeah.
And then she kind of just awoke this thing in him where she was like, he was like, whoa, what the hell's going on?
One of my favorite scenes of this film is, so he starts reading it, he passes out, wakes up, and she's like, what happened? Do you fall asleep on all your dates? And he leaves the room, and it cuts to him in his car. He just left. He just
ghosts her.
Tell her what's happening. So then he goes back home to his hometown to see how everybody's doing. And what triggers everything is he goes and finds Amy Smart, who is the little girl that he had a crush on, now grown up. And she's a waitress at some place. She's getting groped. She has a bad life.
And just puts up with it and kind of smiles.
Yeah.
And it's like weird. And
It's very forced acting.
the acting
brutal.
is very beleaguered.
Yeah. What a presidential term.
I know. I'm trying to stay current. The acting is horrendous in this movie. And the woman who plays his mom is from, I forget her name, but she's from Magnolia. She's in Magnolia, and she's really good in Magnolia. I forget the character she plays. In this, sometimes some people just can't act certain scripts.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever watch The Happening, which has the worst, worst acting.
I'm
and
a
we've
teacher.
mentioned The Happening
I'm
before.
trying to help you. I'm a teacher.
Well, there's a scene we talked about it on the podcast, I think, happening where Mark Wahlberg I just snorted that sees the old lady in the hallway at her house, and she's like kind of nuts, and she goes, you're stealing all my stuff. And Mark Wahlberg literally goes, what? No! I'm trying to help you! I'm trying to help you!
So he's back in the hometown.
So he's back.
The point is the acting adds to the shittiness of this movie.
I could see, as watching it again, I will say some of the acting is a little rough.
Yes, and I just remember first of all of this sounds terrible, and I don't know what I was thinking by enjoying this movie, but when I remember it, I remember being like, the concept of the butterfly effect.
I agree to that. I'll agree with you with that.
You know.
No, I think
and I would think about it and talk about it with my friends and stuff.
Sure. It was this film, I think, affected our generation very powerfully because
Yes,
I have a lot
definitely.
of friends who thought that this was like the deepest movie
I
ever.
did. I remember thinking it was super deep.
This is how you know the acting's so bad. I'm going to go back to that for a second.
Yeah.
If they don't know how to end a phone call in a movie, then you know that it's shitty acting. Like, there's a part where she gets a phone call from like school or something, and at the end she goes, "Okay, bye," and she just hangs up the phone. And I'm like, that's a good, a surefire way that it's a bad script or bad.
Because she said, okay, bye.
The way she says it is like, it was like she was playing with a 4-year-old and had like a fake like Fisher Price phone. And was like, "I'm hanging up now," and then hung up. The phone. Whatever.
To talk about a phone call in advance, what you were saying is that so then he goes back, he talks to her when she's a waitress, and then that night she kills herself,
right? And
that's a phone call as well.
So he gets a call from the brother, and he goes, "She's fucking dead, and you're
Why
dead
did
too."
she kill himself?
Because he reminded her of the dad because she was trying not to think about that.
This is so much darker than I remember.
He's like, it is pretty stupid though that he's like, what happened when your dad was making that movie of us and we were naked?
Right, like shows up at her work.
You couldn't put that one together there, Ashton.
You're an adult now, Ashton.
You can't so there should be some stuff that you can piece together. Like he blacks it out, so he's like, I don't remember, but he remembers standing there naked and being like, what did we just do?
I have to rewatch this.
And
This is crazy.
He also goes from 0 to 60 because he goes, at first, like, do you remember what happened with that? And then 2 seconds later, he's like, just because your dad's a twisted freak doesn't mean it's our fault. And it's like, wait, so you went through every level of, you didn't go through denial or anything. You just right away, you were like, hey, I'm helping you. Like, you're almost giving therapy to her in the street, like, randomly.
Yeah.
And so she kind of like, you think you can come back? And like another dose of bad acting. You can come back and just twist with my brain. And she walks off.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with her.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I stand with, what's her name?
With Amy Smart?
Yeah, I stand
Lenny.
with Amy
Her name
Smart.
is Lenny in the movie. Or Letty or Lenny or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's Letty.
I think
Whatever
Lenny's the fat kid.
So Lenny's the fat kid.
So she's
you're right.
dead.
Yeah, so her name is,
Lenny's the heavy kid.
whatever the fuck her name is.
Yeah. So then she's dead. The brother calls, I'm going to kill you too. So then this is where he starts reading the journals and being able to go back in and when he's watching the baby get killed because it's with a firework, a cigarette falls out of his mouth when he goes back into the memory and it burns him and he has a scar for the rest of his life. And then when he comes out, he's like, oh, I changed that. I guess that the memory changed. So then he figured out that
because he didn't have the scar anymore?
He didn't have the scar before, but now he does have a scar because he remembered it. So now he's realizing he might be able to change the way things go. So he goes back to the scene where the girl is where they're doing the child porn, and he's now got his adult brain, and he can tell this pedo dad what's what.
It's so weird.
It's the weirdest scene because he just snaps into like...
And he starts calling him fuck bad.
Fuck bad. It's so overused in this movie.
I've never heard it before this movie. and I've never heard it so many times uttered.
But it really affects the dad. It's so funny because the dad is like, hey, you little shit, you keep acting like this. I'm going to tell your mom what a sick little shit you've been or whatever. Also,
really, I have an issue with that too. Even with that, and like, I've watched enough Law and Order SVU episodes to know that's not the way pedophiles act.
Yeah.
They try to like sweeten up the kids so they can fuck them. And like, that's what it is. I want not that I'm an expert.
No, tell
like
people.
you are. Like, it's weird.
Tell us more.
Yeah, he's like, why are you acting retarded? I'm like, that's not.
Sean's going to do a butterfly effect and go back and help the pedophile. You gotta be nice.
Sweeten them up before you ruin their childhood.
It ends with the pedophile like having the best life ever. That's the one thing he fixes.
That would have been great at the end of the movie. It's like he's like, I think everything's good now, and they walk away. And it's just like President Pedophile. It's just like he rules the world. All hail our dark overlord, Eric Stoltz, as a pedophile.
So
that's his first trip.
that's the first thing he changes. He goes back. He tells the pedophile to never fucking touch that daughter again and might maybe be a good dad. And also to beat the shit out of the other kid. He's like, your kid Tommy's a sick fuck. You need to discipline him. So then he starts the alternate universe now that he jumps back into. He wakes up in bed.
He wakes up as like a bro.
Yeah, he's like all of a sudden a frat guy. And Amy Smart's a sorority girl, and they're like dating in college. But Tommy is worse than ever.
The brother?
The brother is even more psychotic than he was before.
So
she's alive now.
And the way they know is
she's doing great.
She's alive, and they're dating. And
she's a sorority sister now.
And she had a healthy childhood.
Yeah.
But the brother, all the angst that was on her, now the brother got it, which also doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, why is he... That's not like how pedophile energy works.
That's what I'm saying. It's like potential and kinetic pedophile energy. And the way that they know that it's the brother... What happens is, he's like a bro, he's like a frat guy, but he's like kind of out of it. But then at one point there's a scene where he has to go after the pledges. Like, the pledges are there, and he's like, I need their help. I need the pledges' help. And then at first he's like, yeah, you guys know what to do tonight, meaning like he was going to help him with this date thing for his girlfriend. And then out of nowhere, one of them's like, we're not recruits, we're pledges. Whatever he said, he corrects him and he goes, what'd you say to me? Read the Greek alphabet. And then Ashton Kutcher just knows the entire Greek alphabet, but they never make mention of what. Like, they never talk to you about. That's
a confusing thing. I think that there's a lot of confusing elements about the time travel aspect of this movie, because I think that was supposed to mean like, oh, now he has this new information that he didn't have before,
right?
Because he has new experiences, but they don't really cover that a lot.
They don't go back to it at all.
And is that the butterfly effect? Is that you can go back and change something?
Yeah, but the butterfly effect
could be bad.
The saying is, and what they're saying is the butterfly effect. It could be bad, right? The butterfly effect is that like the flap of a butterfly's wings can cause a tsunami halfway across the world, or whatever around the world. They can, like, just that's like a physics thing. Like, it's supposedly true. Like, it's possible that could happen. A butterfly flapping its wings could cause a tsunami or whatever. And they say tsunami, right?
I think so. Yeah,
around the world, because just based off action and reaction, that kind of thing. So that's where the basis of the movie is. So it's really, you're right, it's a cool idea, but when this is so goddamn funny.
How does that connect with then going back in time?
It doesn't,
because what he's doing is little things he's doing is affecting the future.
Affecting a big thing.
And also his name is Evan Trayborn, which means event reborn. I read that on IMDb trivia. Because they initially wanted to call him Chris Trayborn, which would be
Christ
Reborn.
But they somehow talked themselves out of that.
I think that was a fine choice.
One of the things that I jotted down just a couple of notes. One of the things that I jotted down is that the weird part about when she kills herself, he goes to her funeral, like, after the family goes, because Tommy, the psychopath, is there with the dad.
Yeah.
And the dad has, like, long hair now. And then he, like, waits till they go, and then he goes back. And the note where he said, I'll come back for you, which he never did, he takes that note, he throws it on top of the grave, which is really weird.
He's just littering on the grave.
He's littering on the grave. What is that? Why did you do that? I don't understand why. It's not like she had a special connection with this note. You never came back.
Yeah, well, he still means it. That's one thing I'm going to stand by. He meant that he's going to come. Yeah, he's still going to come back for her.
Okay, there you go. That's one of your defenses.
That's one of my defenses.
I just got a little bit.
I didn't think of that.
I didn't.
A little bit of poetic license there. There's also a great line in this movie where he goes, when he's trying to figure it out, he goes when he makes the cigarette scar on his belly, he goes, if I can make scars, do I have the power to heal them?
That's a great line.
That's a great line.
I get it too, and I'm like, wow. And each action has a reaction. That was very deep to me.
Well, that's the really cool thing. But here's the thing: it's like the way that this movie screws it up is like they're not like, hey, this is why this is happening. They're not like, hey, he got bit by a radioactive time travel spider or something.
Sure.
Literally, he just is reading his journals and like shaking, and then it's happening.
They describe that it's like a genetic thing that he can do, and they kind of
in the movie they're saying
in the movie they kind of explain it by they let you figure it out a little more than they should sometimes, where it's like, well, his dad could also do this with pictures, And then because at the end he's like, oh, I can just do this with anything as long as it triggers the memory. Although they're still complicated about that because it's just pictures and then videos and then the notes he's written to himself.
Right. What I'm saying is, like, it would have been better if they were like, hey, I have these journals. A genie, or some ancient Egyptian guy, like, he put a spell on these journals, and now I can do this with my brain, because that's, like, more direct than what they have. I see what you're saying, but there's no real, like fake, phony science explanation to it. It's just that he figures out he can do this by happenstance. His dad did it, and that's why he went nuts. And then he's just able to change memories. And
it's some sort of genetic. It's like a genetic curse or something like that. Because I think in the sequels, it's all people who are related to the family.
There are sequels?
Yeah, there's 3 Butterfly Effect movies. I've only seen the first one.
They were trying to make them like the Final Destinations. That's the same vibe as like.
But it is a testament though to how successful the first one was, and how obsessed with it people were.
I don't think
to make
were,
2 more.
Were
To make 2 more.
That's true. Yeah. I think
what did you say, Alex? Hold on. What did Alex say?
No, I said I don't think so. It was pretty critically slammed.
But I mean, did it do well in the box office?
2 more?
I think it did well in the young teen market,
because
which is what I was.
Kutcher was red hot at this time.
He was.
Yeah.
And this was his first foray into dramatic film. It was him doing something different, I'm pretty sure, right? Because he was Kelso forever, and everybody loved him as that. And then now he's
stayed there.
I knew him as the guy whose girlfriend got murdered in the early 2000s.
Wait.
You know that story.
Domestic total gross.
Ashton Kutcher's girlfriend got murdered when he was a model, but...
Really?
Yeah, I
Really?
don't know enough info about it to...
Then did he look at his journals and go back?
This part must have been very close to home for him.
Yeah, that's kind of... You're
That's
right.
a lot.
It might have fucked him up.
So,
This
are
is
we ready for
This
the-
is Heath Ledger being the Joker. Remember when he took it way too seriously and it fucked him up and made him kill himself?
Yeah.
No one wants to
Are you
hear
ready?
the domestic total
No,
gross.
I wanna
It's
hear it.
fine. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Can we guess? I
Yeah.
want to say 70 mil.
70 mil, you say? What do you say? Tell me.
I'm going to say 113 million. The economy was booming.
In 2004? No, it was right before the housing crisis. Well, a few years before.
Calm before the storm.
I'm going to say 110 million.
All right, it was 57.9 million.
But
Me, I thought that was incredible.
No, it's good.
You guys
It
really,
is. For a movie like this, it's good.
Yeah.
And for 2004 prices, it's good.
And they only invested $1,300 in it. No.
Yeah, 13 million?
13 million.
It was the first GoFundMe.
Oh, that's really good.
Success.
That's
Yeah.
a success.
They wouldn't make a sequel.
Me and my
Also-
mom both loved this movie. I think that it was for people like me who were trash, where we could like.
Is it?
Maybe I think
where
it was
you're
for
like, maybe
teens.
later in life I'll come back and fix this whole situation.
We can fix all this shit.
I loved it.
I wasn't. My family wasn't royalty, and I still hated this fucking movie.
You come in
But
here
you're
with
watching
your
it
gold
now.
I think that like me and my friends all loved. I think that in the mid 2000s there was a type of psychological thriller that studios refused to make anymore. It was like Identity and this.
They won't make it anymore. I was about to say that.
Yeah, it's a genre
they-
that's lost.
It's gone. It's gone. Like, they made a lot of these movies, and people would get like excited for them. But now, if this came out now, it'd be on Netflix.
yeah,
I guarantee you. That's the type of movie that it is. Also, the weird part is, I guess the sequels must have come out too late, because why weren't those in the theater?
Was 2 in theaters? I know 3 was for sure direct to DVD, but I can't remember.
I never even knew.
I
there
feel
was
like
a
I would have
sequel.
seen 2 if it was.
But
in
I want to
theaters.
remember, it was that time in the early
Well,
2000s.
2
more reasons this was great, because I remember really truly thinking this was great. Now that I'm hearing it back, I can.
It is batshit
It sounds
crazy.
It's insane.
fucking terrible. Honestly.
I want to defend it so badly.
Please do.
I think that the idea behind it is good, which we've already talked about. Like, the idea of being able to fix the past is a yearning that a 16-year-old wants.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, if I could go back in 4th grade and tell Kathy how I felt.
I'd be popular
life
right
would be
now.
different.
And it was Kathy Bates, right?
Yeah, of course. If I could stop her from killing my dog.
I know I loved it for a lot of reasons. One, because there was a character named Tommy who was a badass, wore a leather jacket and beat the shit
Not
out
just
of
a
older
badass,
people.
literally a serial killer. And they do like a good turn on that, because later on in one of the alternate universes, he's like, when they stop from blowing up the baby, for some reason he gets really good and he becomes like a Christian.
He's a born again Christian.
He's a born again Christian.
That's the most frustrating one that they go back to, because the way they kill the baby is they put a very dangerous firework in a mailbox, and then a mom and her baby come to check the mail, and then it blows up the baby.
Oh my god!
I think the mom also. I don't know.
Did the mom die?
Yeah, the mom died, I think.
Oh, so both of them. I always just assumed the baby died, but
And that's why you were defending this movie.
Yeah.
And the fat kid becomes catatonic, and his future is basically him in the mental hospital.
Yeah.
Or in his room, just like, he can't deal with like life. You know?
Well, in this one, Ashton Kutcher becomes an amputee. And
that's one of the alternate universes.
maybe the worst scene in the movie is he falls out of his wheelchair, an amputee, and every college kid is laughing at him.
Yeah. It's like nobody would do
soulless
that.
No one would laugh at that.
What evil college did you
I
go
would
to?
say second worst part of this movie.
No, I know what you're going to say. I don't know what you're going to say. I'm going to have one too.
Then he tries to kill himself in the bathtub because he doesn't have arms, which is like, what kind of message is that to people who are handicapped? But also, he's very quickly, the Tommy guy comes to stop him. He turns off the tub and he's like, oh, I just saved another life. Because the reason that Tommy becomes Christian is Ashton goes to stop the family, and he runs up right next to the mailbox, which is so fucking stupid because he knows what's about to happen. But then Tommy freaks out. He's like, don't do that. And then he realizes what's about to happen, and he goes and pushes the woman out of the way, and then he becomes the hero, even though Ashton's lost his
I
arm.
will tell you this. They basically are saying, like, there's a very thin line between, like, born-again Christians and complete psychopaths.
Ooh.
Because the way he does it in what movie, he's like, I'll save you, lady. Like, he says it like he's like, oh, I better pretend like I'm doing something good right now. I better pretend like I'm doing something good right now. And then, like you said, he's like, I saved another life in the future. So it's like, he's supposed to be like a phony born again, or a phony religious
deep.
man.
That's deep. That's what I really
think
remember
that's a good-
taking from this, was like, oh, that was deep.
For sure.
That said a lot.
Isn't there also a weird part where after he stops him from killing himself, he kisses his head?
Yeah, I think that's in there.
They're not even close. They're not even close. I mean, maybe you're supposed to assume in that world they're close or something.
Yeah.
After he does it, he's like, he goes, Ashton Kutcher goes, I can't even fucking kill myself.
I remember that.
And then Tommy just kisses his head. Like, to the point where I'm like, is that a different character? Like, I was like, is that his brother?
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, his mom... he goes, I have to grab you. Visiting hours are almost over. And then they go and see the mom.
Right.
And the mom has lung cancer
Because
she started chain smoking after.
Yeah.
What happened after?
Because
after he lost his arms.
Yeah, when he lost his arms, she starts chain smoking. But what's annoying is, if it weren't for that world is perfect, because everybody else around him is happy except for he doesn't have arms. Boo, fucking who?
Yeah.
You've changed
Lenny
the
Get
best.
over it,
dating-
Ashton.
Lenny is dating now. Lenny, the weird kid who was going to be in a mental hospital forever, is dating Amy Smart, and he tries to kind of like steal Amy Smart.
Yeah, he has like
from
a
Lenny.
conversation with her where he's like, you ever thought about us?
See, it does all sound kind of cool. Like, it's just like, oh, you get to see all these characters in alternate universes. And
I assure you, it's not. It is cool. I love stuff like that too, but it's done so poorly.
I like.
What is the movie though where Ashton Kutcher is swimming in a pool? Because now I'm realizing
Fan.
it's not.
You're thinking of Swim Fan, which is not him.
That's
He's
not
in
him.
that.
I don't know.
That's
if
Erica
it's Swim
Christensen.
Fan. It's just like
They do look alike,
this
though.
guy that
Yeah.
swims back and forth in an indoor pool a lot.
Is that
in the
Jobs?
Movie.
What is it?
No,
What'd you say?
I said Jobs, but it's probably not.
Oh, maybe Job. Maybe it is Jobs.
no.
Well, I'll tell you.
I've only seen 5 movies in my whole life.
That's true. You've seen no
I thought
movies.
this was one.
My favorite part from when he has no arms. He has
It
fake.
sounds so fucked
I know.
up.
He has fake prosthetic arms, and one time they have him like he's about to roll out of the room in his wheelchair, and for some reason they have an insert shot of his fake arm hitting the direction thing on the wheelchair, but it looks so goofy. It looks like it's a comedy. Like, literally, it's just him, and he's like, I'm out of here. And then they just show an insert of a fake fake prosthetic hand pushing the knob that puts him forward in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
I started losing my mind. I started laughing so hard.
Dude, is it that scene, or is it when he has his arms off? Whenever he walks back into the room to grab the journals, and his fat roommate or whatever is banging a girl on his bed.
On his bed.
And then he goes, "What? You said you'd be gone." It's like, he goes, "You can't fuck somebody in my bed."
Yeah. He goes, "You're on my bed. Get the fuck off." And then he's like, "Yeah, I figured with you being sick and everything, it would be fine." It's like,
Oh my God.
and then he takes his chair and breaks his chair against the wall.
Yeah.
And then they get up and they get out, and then he does what he goes to the next.
Sounds
more
like
thing,
toxic masculinity to me.
From that scene, they have
Toxic masculinity.
they have the montage of why Amy Smart and Lenny are together, and it's just like a bunch of pictures of them like holding hands and stuff. And then you just hear in voiceover, "Lenny's the best." That was my favorite thing. That's like the only exposition they could come up with. Like, why does she love this guy now? Lenny's the best.
Yeah.
I
There's one where
am
he
baffled by this. I am baffled. I am just floored.
Yeah.
It's a crazy movie.
It's so much crazier than I remember.
One thing that I would criticize about it, which I know that's not what I'm here to do, it doesn't have any sense of humor about itself. It doesn't feel like it's so melodramatic.
It doesn't. It doesn't, but it also at the same time, I'm like, are they fucking with us?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. I'm like, they must have had so much fun on this set and known how bad it. They had to have known how bad it
Yeah,
was.
I'm curious.
I don't know.
I
They
don't
seem
know.
pretty serious.
It was weird. Like, it was
And
just
this
a
was
very
like an
weird,
Ashton Kutcher breakout drama role. Like,
Right.
that was a big deal
Yeah, I
for
think it
him.
was going to be a big deal for him.
I wonder if he punked anybody on the dead dogs.
No, just the script writer
Like,
was punking everybody.
he actually killed a dog, and they were like, all right, Punky the dog, get out of it. You know, whatever the
Hey,
fuck the dog.
director of this movie, your dog's dead.
But all right, so we're almost done here. Mm-hmm. It was a doozy, this movie, and you defended a little bit. And I usually do it at the end. We do three. You guys give 3 reasons. You give between the both. You have 3 reasons.
Okay.
You don't need 6, obviously.
Right.
Of why you defend this movie, just to stick to the premise.
Okay.
Just to put it in like, you know, a condenser form.
I want
Condenser.
What are the main
I got
points
one
of defense?
that I think it's a fruitful premise to a movie. One that's so fruitful, they have 3 different endings to it, and they couldn't choose which one was
what do you
best.
mean?
There's the
If you
director's
get the
cut.
DVD.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know about this. Tell me. I love director's cut
And
alternate
so
endings.
the way this movie ends, the way he ends up fixing everything, is that he finds out that the little girl only stayed with her pedophile dad because she liked him, the little Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, there's another funny part too, because then he goes back in time when they were kids from the film, from the home movies, and he's like, "You come near me, I'll kill you and your whole fucking family."
Yeah.
It's fucked
I
up.
remember
Which is-
that. I
yeah.
remember that, which was brave of him and cool
brave
because
and
he's
sad.
taking care of
But
her.
also,
Yeah, but couldn't he
wouldn't
just
that-
been like? Couldn't he just been like, "Hey, we can't hang out"?
No, it's very serious. He had to get it through to her. She was willing to do child pornography to hang out with him. He needed to make it clear.
I do want to see the alternate universe where she is now terrified of other children, though.
just stays in her house all day.
The alternate ending that's in the director's cut is that instead of going back to that party, he goes back to the footage of him being born and chokes himself with the umbilical cord.
I saw I saw that.
Way.
The mind behind this film is
No way. At that point, you are not. At that point, you are making a comedy. You're not. There is no way they wrote
I
that.
remember seeing that scene.
You saw it?
Yes,
on the DVD?
I was very into this movie.
I did not know that was the
Yeah.
case. Are
Yeah.
you
I
kidding
swear.
me?
Yeah, that is the
And
ending.
they didn't pick it.
In the director's cut, that's the ending they just give you.
That was also actually the original ending of Look Who's Talking with Bruce Willis. All of them. And Baby Geniuses. It was a cartoon version of that ending. Oh my God.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
I swear to God, yeah, you can check it out.
have such
your
mixed
first
feelings.
reason is it's a fruitful.
I think it is
Premise.
such a brilliant premise that it lends itself to you can't even pick an ending.
Well, you just made your case and lost it in one point by telling us that scene, you lost the entire day.
Wow.
I cannot. I have to go watch it online.
Yeah, you gotta
Is it
watch
online?
That one. Yeah, and actually, I don't know if you can watch it online. I'm sure that you can probably find it on YouTube or something.
Is there only one alternate ending, or is there
There's
more
two
than that?
alternate endings.
What's the other one?
Because the
Oh my
one
God.
ending
I don't know how
is-
you can top that. You can't.
We can order the DVD on Amazon.
That's true. The theatrical ending is so he ends up being mean to her at the party. Then they cut to the future where they're both living in New York, clearly
Yeah.
successful business people now.
Yeah,
on Wall Street.
on a cell phone.
Yeah, and they're walking across they're crossing paths and they see each other. And she doesn't even, notice him, but he sees her. She kind of notices him, but then he looks at her.
Yeah, she kind of makes him face.
Kind of stops, but then they just keep walking. So that's the theatrical ending. And one of the other alternate endings is they see each other, they keep walking, and then he turns around and goes back and asks if she wants to get coffee sometime.
That's what I was wondering, and I will. This
Getting
is
goosebumps
the
just
only.
thinking about
That's
it.
the only thing.
No, it's just cold in here.
And then
not the movie.
Well, you know what? The real. I heard the real alternate ending was they go get coffee and they go strangle a baby.
Okay, so reason 2.
Okay,
So if that alternate ending was, then that'd be 2 dead babies in the movie. That's insane. This movie has 2 dead
But
babies.
have you ever
Yeah.
seen a baby kill itself?
That's
in the
the part
womb. That's amazing. That is the originality I'm appreciating about this film.
In one of the
Originality
alternating,
or terribleness?
in one of the alternating,
Unique.
there's a gun in the womb and he shoots himself.
Here's the thing, man. That this is the only. I can't even. I'm speechless off that umbilical cord thing. The only thing I will
I
give this
love it.
movie is
I
this:
respect it deeply.
the fact that they walked away and the one they actually
That-
used.
yeah.
That's the only thing I'll
Beautiful,
give you.
beautiful.
Yeah, because it's not technically a happy ending.
not, yeah.
But at least they had that. But
Sometimes you don't get what you want.
I'm surprised they didn't put in the ask her out for coffee because that's what people usually want. You know, that's crazy.
Okay,
And the third reason, reason two.
unless we want to count both of those endings as one reason. I think that this movie perfectly appeals to the dark part of a young teenager's brain. So I saw it when I was 14, and I had literally maybe a year or so before gotten in trouble in creative writing for writing about serial killers. And in this movie, he gets in trouble for drawing a murder scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, these guys get me. They're as twisted as I am. So I loved it. And it was I was
you
just
had journalism.
discovering-
I agree with that completely because that was
Journals,
my
I did,
experience as a dark, brooding
Exactly.
teen.
Yeah,
I thought this was a brilliant film.
And they go to
One
see...
for the.
No, that's not. No, stop saying that.
I did. I remember it.
Here's the other thing. Did they ever explain why? Because even when he goes back and he's aware of the picture drawing, did they ever explain why he draws the murder
I was
scene?
just trying to think of why he did that because I was wondering. The first time I watched it, I thought that I knew, but watching it again, I was like, "Wait, no, why did he draw that?"
Because I think only thing I can think of is to keep continuity. Because one of his blackouts that he has is when he draws the murder picture.
Yeah.
They had a really cool explanation. At one
For the
point,
knife.
The knife was a really
Yeah.
cool explanation. Yeah, we gotta stop. But the one of the things with the picture, they don't explain when he comes back and he's his adult self in his child body.
Yeah.
Why he draws still when he has a chance to not draw that picture, he still draws the murder picture as Ashton Kutcher, the older kid.
Yeah, I don't know because that's the scene where he goes back to make the stigmata, right? He stabs through his hands.
Yeah, he goes, Mrs. Fahey,
Right.
whatever the hell her name is, and boom, and hits stigmata. Then goes, there's a whole jail. That's we didn't even talk about the jail.
Which is
scene.
very
Yeah.
racist, the
Yeah.
jail scene.
Oh my!
Oh,
That's
you
when he
didn't
says the
even tell
N-word.
me about when he says the N-word.
That's when he
What's the
says it.
context around
When
that?
he's trying
I
to
need
get-
to know.
Trying to
When he's
impress the Aryan nation.
Trying to impress the Aryan nation, and he goes, "You think I'm going to hang out with these?" But I'm not going to say it. But
Right.
whatever. So we don't have time to talk about that. Oh my god. Okay. So what's your third reason? That's very good. It appeals to the dark nature of little psycho
Yeah.
Tommy McNamara. And what's your third reason?
I
real quick,
think
and then we'll get out of
Ashton
here?
Kutcher does a good job.
Wow.
What do you think about that, you pieces of shit?
That is false. Okay, that's your reason.
One really
think
quick
for-
fourth reason.
Yeah.
It's the only movie I've ever seen. They go to see Seven in the movie. It's the only movie where they see a better movie during the movie, which is cinema history. No one's ever done that.
That's really good. Well,
That's a
thank
good
you guys
reason.
for doing this. Farrah, now that you've seen it, will you go check it out again?
See, this happens a
called it
lot by
brilliant-
the end of these podcasts. It's and I did want to watch this before the podcast to rebrief myself, but it's not too easily accessible, which is that's a drawback in
tough.
my. I mean, it's really tough. You have to buy it on YouTube for $3.
buy it
It's
on
not that
YouTube.
hard. It's not that hard, but that's just not something
I got it on.
we
Oh,
do.
you got it on YouTube?
I bought it on YouTube for $3.
Yeah,
bought it
that's
on,
what I was
Apple.
going to do.
I did
$4
Amazon,
and-
yeah.
I mean, so I would like to refresh on this film because
you
it was
wanna
important
watch
to
it-
me as a kid. But honestly, it sounded fucking terrible
The
today.
Defend Your Movie Corporation will pay for your rewatching of this movie if
Okay.
you'd like to rewatch it.
All right. Fine.
Alex's mom will pay for this movie.
Well,
for you.
what I mean to say by that is like a lot of these movies by the end, and we're seeing will I see it? If it's easily accessible, sure. If it's not, no thank you.
Okay, so you're like on the fence. If it's just on in your face and somebody's just
Yeah, and I'm curious, but when it really comes down to like my time, am I going to sit and watch this? I doubt it.
Okay, so you didn't get Farrah to rewatch it, fellas.
Wow.
Thank you so much for doing this. We have to start your podcast in a second. Before I forget, I'd like to plug the Defend Your Movie. We have a Twitter. It's at Defend Your Movie. We also have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Defend Your Movie. The email is defendyourmovie@gmail.com. We do it at Showbiz Studios. They have a YouTube page, also an iTunes page where you can check out all the Showbiz Studios podcasts. What would you guys like to plug?
We have a show at Caroline's August 2nd at 7:30 called Tom and Tommy Comedy Mommy. Come check that out.
Incredible lineup. Sam Morrill, Lisa Traeger, Langston Kerman from HBO's Insecure.
Janelle James.
From Defend Your Movie podcast.
Oh.
Langston, I mean.
Yeah, he came. Yeah.
It's going to be a great time.
It's
Come
gonna
to
be
that.
And your podcast is Stand By Your Band.
Yes.
Yeah, they
So check that out on
completely ripped
iTunes.
off the idea for
If you like this podcast and you want to listen to it about music,
What the fuck?
go listen to it.
No, listen to it. Are you on a network? You guys do it
We're on
yourselves?
iTunes. We do it ourselves.
We're on
It's on
Rep.
Podomatic and stuff like that. Yeah, we got JFL podcast on Rep.
Well, thank you guys so much for doing this, and we'll see you in 2 seconds for your podcast. Thank you guys, and listen, keep listening, and subscribe and rate and review. I can't tell you how important that is. Thank you, and thank you everybody for sticking around. And bye bye. See you.
The time has come again. The champion must stand.